Hello there, my name is Walt Sendewald. Thank you for the invitation to be part of your environmental justice work group. And yes, I am passionate about helping the county to improve the environmental quality of life for all of San Diego County's residents. My greatest concern is the governments of the world are falling behind in solving the climate change crisis, as explained in this recent TED Talk. Another video that has informed my thinking is this PBS explanation of why the little things we do to fight climate change, such as planting a few trees or composting or holding numerous meetings about environmental justice, aren't effective at fighting climate change. I do believe in climate justice for this new economic era of renewable energy, and I believe there's a path to achieving an emission-free future from which everyone can benefit. Unfortunately, the general public is apathetic to the need to reduce the amount of greenhouse gases we are pumping into our atmosphere. There's probably many reasons why this is the case, but the problem is we need the general public to be part of the solution. The scope of the changes required is enormous. Obviously, the largest economy in the history of the world needs to phase out fossil fuels and power our future with renewable energy. The question is, how do we motivate the public and the business community to make the necessary investments in home and business appliances, transportation, and agriculture in a timely way to reduce the impact of climate change on future generations? The Inflation Reduction Act and the infrastructure bills passed by Congress a couple of years ago are a good top-down start by the federal government to create an incentive structure for people to make the necessary investments. Obviously, there's a role for local governments to help people understand why we need to make lifestyle changes. Further, local governments need to help the public understand what the federal incentives are and what the payback would be when we switch to EVs, heat pumps, electric water heaters, clothes dryers, and so on. Another role for local governments is to explain that the changes renewable energy will make to our future economy will be profound and exciting. Local governments can provide a vision of the future that will help people to get on board with the green movement. This is not the first time our society has been transformed by technology.
Thank you, Secretary Trogdon. Thank you so much for that kind introduction, and thank you all for being here today. Sold out audience. I want to take you into the future of transportation and energy, but before I do that, I want to take you into the past. This is New York City in 1900, Easter parade. There is one car in this picture in a sea of horses. We used horses as our main means of transportation, all of humanity, for thousands of years. There is one car in this picture there. In 13 years, there was one horse in that picture. Can anyone see it? Essentially, transportation flipped from all horse, -1, to all cars, -1, in just 13 years. 13 years. And this is more than 100 years ago. And as you know, technology is changing even more rapidly now. And this is how quickly disruptions happen. 13 years, that's all it took. If you had invested in a horse barn in 1900, basically you lost all your money.
Just like it was back then, we face major changes. There's a social impact. There is a technological impact. There will also be an economic impact which will be realized through the addition of new industries, new jobs, and new skills. We need to electrify everything. The drawing shows a single-family home, but many people are living in apartments or condominiums. Businesses and government and nonprofit organizations are also going to have to make the investments in heating, cooling, appliances, and transportation to meet our collective goal. This is already an incredible financial hurdle to ask of our communities. Access to affordable electricity to offset the investment in our homes, businesses, and transportation should be considered a tool in the fight against climate change. In comparing the costs of our local electric utility, I used the data provided by the Sacramento Municipal Utility District's website. This particular chart is the latest and was updated on September 1st, 2024. I made one change by adding the rates per kilowatt hour for a ready comparison. The color code on those rates is green for publicly owned utilities and the red is for investor-owned utilities. I've added a red oval around the SDG&E rates. One initial comment is that the SDG&E rates are inflationary and affect the cost of living. Think of all the businesses and residents who are buying goods and services at a premium due to the difference in the rates. One example is the Ramona Municipal Water District that must pump water up 1,000 feet of elevation, as well as distributing water to the residents, farms, and businesses of Ramona. The electric cost of that service is almost $1.3 million. Using the national average of 16.6 cents per kilowatt hour, we can see the SDG&E excess charge amounts to about $800,000. Another consideration is East County inland valley temperatures are more extreme than along the coast. This means that air conditioners and furnaces run more frequently and cost more to keep homes and apartments comfortable. East County residents also typically travel farther to get to work than do residents along the coast. This will be an added burden when considering investing in EVs. Let's consider an example. To illustrate the impact of SDG&E's rates on the fuel savings of an EV compared to a conventional auto, please see the article we found in CNET. When we adjust the CNET calculation for SDG&E rates and local gas costs, we find the benefit of switching to an EV reduced by about half. We haven't calculated the impact on switching to electric home appliances, but it seems likely that the SDG&E rates being more than double the national average will show similar results. To sum up, high electric rates work against the incentives for residents and businesses to move towards electrification. Our utility, which has a stake in the fossil fuel industry, is discouraging the fight against climate change with above market rates for electricity. One of the important values for the modern environmental movement is to promote climate justice. Mostly this is in response to the unfairness foisted on some groups in our society by the fossil fuel industry. Here's some questions I hope we can answer about climate justice. Why is it okay when an energy monopoly charges some of the highest electric rates in the nation in San Diego County at the expense of residents, including low-income residents and our elderly population? particularly when other parts of California have access to publicly owned electricity at less than half the rates, particularly when a disproportionate number of low-income residents live in the inland valleys, which require greater use of electricity due to the climate and the driving distance to work. There is a solution to this problem, and it's not a multi-tier rate schedule to get upper-income people to pay higher rates to subsidize lower rates for the rest of us. That's a gimmick to shift the discussion away from SDG&E's high rates and to turn it into an economic class issue. There's another aspect of the fight against climate change. That is, most residents and business owners are apathetic about this existential issue. Why? I believe a centralized top-down approach to the electrification effort leaves people poorly informed and with little control. There needs to be an incentive for people to be involved. The solution to the apathy problem is simple. We need to promote the idea of community involvement, such as an electric cooperative offers. California has few electric cooperatives, but they are much more numerous and larger in Texas, Colorado, and New Mexico. New Mexico, in fact, provides us with a great example. On January 16th of this year, Sustainable Ramona held a public meeting to share the story of the Kit Carson Electric Cooperative in Taos. Links to the videos that tell that story are available in the YouTube description of my application video. I encourage everyone concerned about the economics of climate justice to watch them. Whatever California legal limitations that prevent the formation of community power cooperatives needs to be reformed. Electric cooperatives represent the ultimate form of climate justice for an energy utility. Cooperative organizations have value systems that make them a good fit for a program built around climate justice. The threshold to be a member of the cooperative is simple. If you buy electricity from the cooperative, you can be a member. Being a member is equivalent to being an owner in that each member gets a vote on the cooperative's board and key management. With the board and management being local, there's more interaction between management and the members. Management is more hands-on. One other important consideration of the Kit Carson Electric Cooperative: they have two pueblos within the area served by the co-op. The tribes are members but have a special relationship with the cooperative to give the tribes more autonomy. San Diego County, of course, is home to a number of Native American communities. One other critical advantage to the electric cooperative strategy is that the goal would be to make each cooperative self-supporting in terms of energy production and storage. Local production of energy would mean more of the value created would remain within the community, making the community more prosperous. This would be done through the technology of microgrids. Otherwise, we will not meet our collective goals to fight climate change. Climate scientists are telling us we are running out of time to avoid existential climate change.